Okay, so in this lesson we've been studying scientific notation for computing, and I thought it might be helpful to work through a couple examples here. And I'll do a quick little review, and then I got 4 little problems I'll work through with you here. So bytes are small. Bytes are extremely small. We don't typically deal with bytes very often when we're measuring, and I'm going to use here for an example, storage technologies. We also use this for processor rates. We also might use this for transfer rates. But for this particular example here, we'll use storage technologies, all right? And so instead of bytes, we use scientific notation here, or scientific prefixes, and usually we see things not in bytes, but in megabytes, gigabytes, kilobytes, terabytes, and again, this comes from the scientific world here, so I'm going to just give a brief explanation here how to convert back and forth, followed by some problems, okay? So terabytes are really big units, and you're starting to see more hard drive technologies measured in terabytes. You might find a new system today might have 1 or 2 or 5 terabytes of storage space, which is a lot. So let's see how all this kind of comes together here. These are we usually measure this in thousands. So we start with a kilobyte. A kilobyte's 1,000. Oops, let me grab the right pen here. A kilobyte is 1,000. Oh no. Shoot. Right. It's 1,000 bytes, all right? Megabyte, we look at it as 1,000,000 bytes. If you notice here, I just go from 1,000 to 1,000,000, I put 3 more zeros on there, all right? Gigabyte, we're going to follow that, that's going to be 1,000,000 bytes. Again, we go in threes, and notice when I write these numbers, I'm using commas because it really helps me to move from one prefix to the next. And then terabytes, well, we got what, 1,000, 1,000,000, a billion. So a terabyte is going to be 1,000,000,000,000. All right. So we measure how many zeros are that? 3, 6, 9. Big number. Okay. So we had 12 zeros after that. You notice each one of these different units, we put the 3 extra zeros on there. Abbreviations, all right, we use a capital T and a capital B for terabytes, same thing for gigabytes. Megabytes, MB. Kilobytes a little different. We use a lowercase k and then a uppercase B, all right? And for completeness here, I'll put the word 1,000, million, billion, and trillion. All right. And the other, I guess, kind of premise as we go through this here too, that I'll kind of lay down as, you know, maybe being helpful to you in making your conversions. If you write from left to right the larger units or the larger prefixes, what you'll find is that when you move to your right, you're always moving a decimal place to your right. Okay? And when you move across this way, for instance, going from gigabytes to terabytes, you move the decimal place to your left. And let me illustrate that with a couple examples. All right. So first, the example here, if I have 18 gigabytes, and I want to convert that to megabytes, all right, you see that gigabytes, you move that decimal point 3 positions. So I got 18. I put a decimal point in here. I'm going to throw 3 more zeros on here. Okay, because 18 and 18.000 is the same numerical figure here. And I'm going to move this 3 to the right. 2, 3. We end up here as 18 gigabytes is equal to 18,000 megabytes. Okay? All right, let me do another example here, and this time we'll just choose something different here. Let's go from gigabytes to terabytes. So let's assume here I have 3,000 gigabytes. How many terabytes am I going to have? So first thing I'm going to do is put that 0 there, or that decimal point, all right? And now I want to move it. I'm going from gigabytes, which is a smaller prefix, to terabytes, which is a larger. All right, I'll move the decimal point 3 positions. 1, 2, 3. So 3,000 gigabytes is actually equal to 3 terabytes. Okay, so our first example, we move the decimal point 3 positions to the right. Our second example, we move the decimal point 3 positions to the left. Very, very important that you're able to convert back and forth, because these are common measurements, and it's part of being, I believe, fluent in computing and information technology. All right, so now let me erase this. I got 2 more examples for you here. All right, my last 2 examples here. I'll start with a figure in gigabytes here. I got 950 gigabytes. I'm going to convert that now to megabytes, or excuse me, to kilobytes. I guess this example, the item to note here is I'm going from giga to mega to kilo. Okay, so I'm going to move the decimal point. Well, we're going to move it a little more than we have in the past. We're going to move it 3 positions and then 3 more positions. So let me give myself a little room here as I move through this. So I start with my 990 gigabytes. I put my decimal position here. And again, I can put zeros on here. And so I'm going to go ahead and move it to go to kilobytes. Let's see, 3 positions, so 990 gigabytes is going to be 1, 2, 3, 990,000 megabytes, or 1, 2, 3, 990 million kilobytes. Okay, so I'll rewrite this now. And we move that decimal point over to here to 990. I'm going to use commas here. Okay, so 990 gigabytes is actually 990 million kilobytes. All right, here's my last example. Let's go the other direction now. So supposing I have 2,000 megabytes. I want to convert that. Let's go from megabytes over to terabytes. All right. So I'm going to move this now. I'm going to move the decimal point 3 to gigabytes and 3 more to terabytes. So I'm going to move it a total of 6 positions. But look at this here. We're moving it to the left. So I better make sure I give myself some space here. So I start right here. Here's my decimal point. And recognize I put zeros on either side of the number without changing the numeric value of it. Okay, so I'm going to put some zeros out here as placeholders. Okay, that's still 2,000. Looks kind of funny, but it's 2,000. And let me move it now. I'm going to move it 3. That would go from megabytes to gigabytes. And what I'm trying to do here is calculate terabytes. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. So 2,000 megabytes would be 2 gigabytes. That's pretty easy. But let's go 3 more now. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And here's where we end up. So if I rewrite this now, (2,000 megabytes) is actually 0.002 or 2 thousandths of a terabyte.